this is Manny. I'm the CEO of Bison Solutions and BSL Training, and I'm here with Joe and Doug. We had a great training for 2 days, intense training, and thanks Doug and thanks Joe.
My name's Doug McGee. I work for StoneAge Water Blast Tools. I started in the high pressure cleaning business in 1983 for a small company named Hydro Services, which has morphed into Hydrochem. I spent 27 years with Hydrochem, another 5 with Evergreen North American, and since 2016 with StoneAge. I've held every job in this business from entry-level technician to regional manager. More than half my career has been spent in safety and training, and it was kind of a natural evolution that when we at StoneAge decided to put this kind of training together and put it out, that I was going to be one of the ones to help write it and present it. And I am the trainer for the North American section.
Well, it's interesting on the training side because obviously when you started, you needed to be trained.
Absolutely.
And what kind of level of training was there, though? You said you did have some good mentors, but was it the kind of focus we see now?
All of it. I had no structured high pressure cleaning training. My training was all in the field, and what I could set one-on-one with our first engineer at Hydro Services was Chuck Weinert, who was a really brilliant man who could take very complex procedures, drawings, whatever, and explain them where the everyday guy could understand them. The equipment that he built was very user-friendly, easy to put together, easy to use. And I got my beginnings of training from Chuck. So when I give training, I want to make sure that everybody in the room at least leaves with one thing. I feel like if they learn one thing, we won.
Why do you think that when it comes to water blasting, high pressure water blasting, steel is not a trade?
The industry, the commodity itself has always been bid and awarded as unskilled labor. And for many years, it earned that reputation. As we have evolved and as the industry has evolved, now we're working at much higher pressures. Mm-hmm. Therefore, you need to understand more about what you're pumping. It's not just a matter of putting a nozzle on the end of the gun and putting somebody out there leaning on it. Now you need to understand a little bit about, the ins and outs, the scientific part of it, the pressure drop, your jet impact. If you're this far away, how hard does that nozzle hit right here? And we really need to give the people that are doing this kind of work something other than they had to, kind of wander their way in the dark. And I try to give them at least a place to start, and they don't have to depend totally on historical information, which, by the way, we have thrown thousands of years of that away because hydroblasters are really famous for when we get through with a job, we're through and we're walking away.
Exactly.
And that's also something that we have improved on, is keeping better records of what we've done and what it took to clean this or that, so that we didn't have to start from scratch every time.
Now, how does your company help, say, the service providers to develop those types of programs?
Well, my job, I was hired at StoneAge. My title is actually automation technician. I support rental and sales. So if we rent somebody a piece of our equipment, and generally everything that we sell, we also rent. So if a customer rents a particular piece of equipment and does not have the knowledge of how to use it, we want him to be successful. If he's successful, it's likely he may come back to us and buy it. Mm-hmm. So the people in my position, we're out there supporting them, making sure they're using it right, setting it up right. And during that time, we also pass along some of the things that are in these courses, mm-hmm. that, no, you're running this nozzle has got too much volume for this hose. You've got a lot of pressure drop, or some of the technical points. We pass that along when we're doing those jobs. And so many of these kids that you're seeing on these jobs now, I had the advantage when I grew up, if your bicycle broke or your car, when I got a car, I had to work on it. Well, now they can't even work on their cars. Now they can work the phones pretty good, but now the critical thinking of this younger generation sometimes is lacking as far as figuring things out, and there's a lot to figure out in this business.
Well, when you go think about even in other aspects, going from say pneumatics to digital and electronic, where with the pneumatic system you had to use some trial and error and figure out what was going on. With digital and electronic, you almost have to push a button and it's done.
Absolutely.
So when you do have those problems, it makes it challenging. How have you been able to convey that in the training program using those skills?
We really start from the baseline. And generally when I teach this, I start from the nozzle back. This is where it happens. So I find out what I need here, and then back through the system, how do I get to that point? So that you're teaching, I'm kind of teaching backwards, if you will. Most people start at the pump because they want to put a great big number on the pump. And you can have all the technology you want. If you don't get the right volume and pressure to where you want to go, you're not doing anything but getting things wet and making noise. So the electronic part of it is great. It's going to be, that's our next step, that's going to be true automation. The automation we have now is really semi-automated. Automation to me is like you say, I program what I want it to do and tap it. Now, I've still got to operate the machine, but I have removed myself from a lot of the hazards, and I've made much more consistent cleaning. But the advancement in the electronics, that we're doing things by camera now, those things, all of that stems from making it safer as well as making it more productive.
Why do you think there isn't the level of, say, a ticketed position within this, as opposed to just the guy that works his way up and he's gone from a laborer to an operator?
For one thing, the contractors, I was a high device contractor, so I have some empathy for them. They have a very fluid workforce. It's almost like hydroblasting gypsies. And you feel, I have to feel for the contractor when they say, why should I spend time and money on this guy when somebody else down the road as an unskilled laborer is going to offer him 50 cents more an hour? And I can't blame the guy for going. And plus, we've done a poor job in the industry of making a career path that I start as an apprentice, or whatever you want to call it, or then a journeyman, or whatever you want to call it, and then as a master. And a structured program with education along the way, structured education, certified education, if you will, that would give a guy a career path and convince the end users, which is chemical plants, refineries, power plants, whatever, that it's in your best interest to not look on this commodity as unskilled labor.
So we have some audience that maybe they don't know what kind of pressure we're talking, 20,000, 40,000 psi. Can you just explain the hazards and what kind of pressure?
Well, the myth that we've propagated, and this is not just one company, but the industry itself, is that the higher the pressure, the more dangerous it is. Once you get above about 3,500 pounds, you can be water cut. Your body is not made to take that kind of force. So water blasting, no matter what pressure, the hazards are naturally tissue damage or body damage, but we work with extremely dirty water. So that kind of thing into your body is going to be infectious and things like that.
Do you find it's been slow for companies to take the initiative like Bison has done in terms of
Very much
bringing
so.
trainers in and trying to get their people educated as opposed to picking up a bunch of people 2 days before a turnaround, make sure they have their H2S and send them up to the field?
Very much so. Very much so. It's a credit to their company that they're headed in the right direction. We're trying to get that message out to the end users, because that's where it has. The contractors have got to survive. So I've often said in this business is a lot like cleaning up your garage. You're going to have to make a bigger mess than you really had before you can ever get it straightened out. And until with the automated equipment, we've kind of taken the first step. They understand, say, I'm getting 30% more runtime on this exchanger, and my boiler's running. I'm not going to have to take it down but once a year instead of twice. Because now we've run it with an automated piece of equipment. We're getting a lot more heat exchange. We're getting, the bottom line for them, they're making more money, more product. And it won't take, I don't think it's going to take as long as it's had up to now for them to realize that we need to pay these guys for what they know, and be able, just like they don't want off the street running a 50-ton crane. It's the same thing. They've got to realize that, particularly when we start the next step, we talk about your automated equipment that we program the pattern of the tube sheet, the length of the tube, the product in there, and you hit a button and it goes to work. The guys that are operating that are going to have to be much more in tune with how the machine works, how the equipment works, and fix things when it goes wrong than just these guys, like you said, you're picking up 2 days before turnaround. As a matter of fact, that's my fear, is that we have a lot of people in this business that have been promoted into positions that they're really not qualified for, because the necessity was there. There had to be some bodies.
Yeah, they stuck around, they stayed around, they got promoted because
They showed up.
Yeah, exactly.
But I think our industry is changing because some of our clients now, they start to realize that training and competence is really important. Inverter systems and TerraPure, last time they gave us hydrovac and also high pressure pump this time too, and they are supporting us, and I think that's great.
They've trained Environmental Systems TerraPure have trained 90 people this year. Went through that 2-day course right there. I can't help but believe that they're not going to be better for it. I honestly believe that they're better for the money. It was money well spent. I was very mixed amounts of experience, and I still believe that it was very, very successful. Your people were the same way, that very successful. When I have a problem given this training is when, I don't know whether it's personalities or what is the word I'm looking for? A guy is just there to collect his hours. And that's hard to break them out of that. And for one thing, I want the smartest man I ever worked with in this business was a man named Jack Spurlock. He said 2 things to me. He said, everybody in this hydroblasting business below, crew leader and below, is an oppressed people. And the other thing he said that I agree with, the only thing worse than training your people and losing them is not training them and keeping them.
But I would like to add something. Actually, I think we are working as a team because we would like to see our clients are winning, and I think that's the only way we all can grow together. That's why we tell our people that we really work hard and we have all these training. We want to see our clients are winning, and we see ourselves as their team.
And it's one of the proudest things I am about StoneAge. I don't think there's anybody else in this business that you for free the amount of information that we give you electronically with our website and our apps on the phone, support for your products. We have people work in the field like I do to help you with your products. You said something, to make them successful. We want you to be successful.
Thanks. It was a great experience.
No problem.
And before we say goodbye to everyone, could you just tell us a little bit more about your team, the size of your company and everything?
Okay. StoneAge, first thing everybody asks is, where the heck did you get the name StoneAge? StoneAge was started by a couple of young engineers in the late 70s and 80s named John Waldemont and Jerry Zink, who are still owners of the company. And they grew up in the area, the Durango, Colorado area, and they were looking for a way to drill for uranium with high pressure water. That's where that started. And about the time they figured it out, the market for uranium went through the floor, and they had the technology and the wherewithal to put it in place, but they had no place to use it. They became involved with the company that I used to work for, Hydro Services, in the early 80s, and we were looking for a way to clean exchangers, heat exchangers, drilling heat exchangers. So those swivels, those high pressure swivels, which allows you to spin the lands and still hold pressure, those were the beginnings, those were the first StoneAge tools, and it has evolved from that. We have, I believe that we have 160, 170 people working for us now. John and Jerry have absolutely demanded, I mean, some people say it's crazy that our manufacturing division is in Durango, Colorado, and we have a branch in Houston that's the third largest port in North America. You know, to me, that would be a better distribution area. But John and Jerry are true to the fact that they are a local company, and they're they're honest, and they treat our employees like a team. Carrie Siggins is now our CEO. Very, very intelligent lady. I told somebody the other day that her vision is what drives us. I grew up in a business that I couldn't worry about any further than this shift. And I have a real hard time with long-term goals. You used to ask me, what's your long-term goal? I need to get through today and figure out I've got enough people to work tonight. You know?
Yeah.
And StoneAge is now, in 2 years, I believe, will be totally employee owned.
Wow.
So everybody in the company has a stake. And and it's not that we don't keep everybody that we hire, because if you can't get in the team, on the team with our structure and with our culture, there it is, I'm sorry. And, you know, there's not a place there. But if you can be part of a team, it's the best job I've ever had.
Okay, thanks. I really appreciate that.
No problem.
Thanks.
Man,
Nice to meet you.